This is gonna be delish. I am Deborah VanTrece, a chef from Atlanta, Georgia. Prior to becoming a chef, I was an international flight attendant. Through my travels, I've gotten the opportunity to experiment and try so many different cuisines. Woo, we're there, and I like what I'm tasting. Bam! All cultures have comfort food, all cultures have soul food. And that has helped to shape my conversation on food and the soul food community all over the world. Global Soul, a Southern twist on a global dish.
We bring the world together when we cook with soul.
Hi, I'm Chef Deborah VanTrece, and welcome. Today, we are going to, of course, be cooking a soulful Southern twist on a globally inspired dish. Now, for this dish, I can't take complete credit for coming up with this paella, but it's a paella macaroni. We're gonna start chopping veggies because I have a lot of veggies to prep. And then we're gonna talk about this dish. So paella. Definitely one of the mainstays, to some, like the national dish of Spain. It's generally done with rice. Pretty much every recipe you're gonna find shows it with rice. I traveled to Spain, actually got to live in the northern part of Spain, in a small town called Lugo. And paella became one of my favorite things to eat. One of the main flavors that you will find in paella comes from saffron. Saffron can get a little bit pricey. There's different grades of it, so when you're making paella, you definitely want to use a very good grade of saffron because it's very important to the flavor of the dish. Now let's talk about the macaroni piece of it. One day, I'm invited to dinner, and I go over to a friend's house in Lugo, Spain. And on the table, they place their paella pan with paella, but it was made with macaroni. Now, I immediately equated that with the things that I grew up with. Macaroni and cheese was a staple in my home. There's no cheese to this dish, but just the fact that they used the macaroni as opposed to the rice, I thought was extremely interesting. Between the saffron, the broth, the wine, we're gonna get a lot of flavor in here with the veggies. This is gonna be a delicious dish, and I know you're gonna love it. So I've been cutting veggies as I've been talking. Got peppers, onions. You can dice these, or you can do a julienne slice. And when you're making paella, you can choose what proteins you want to use. The one we're going to do as far as our proteins, it's pretty standard. We're gonna do a chorizo. We've got shrimp, chicken. We're gonna do seafood. We've got calamari, we've got mussels, we've got clams. We're gonna add a little bit of lobster. Generally, if you are in Spain, you don't do the lobster, you get langostinos, which to me look like little baby lobsters. When I look at dishes in the United States, especially in the South, I also see the influence of the Spaniards on this particular dish if we're in Louisiana and we're having jambalaya. Some of the same ingredients, just a little bit different as far as the spice is concerned. I've got chicken. I'm using chicken thighs, breasts, whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever your preference. Trim a little bit of the fat. And then we're gonna cut these up in 1 inch or so chunks. I'm gonna put our chicken to the side. Gonna clean my board. Got a nice fresh board. We don't want cross-contamination. Even though this is all going together, we've got some amazing sausage. This is a beautiful dried chorizo. If you don't have access to chorizo, andouille sausage or any type of spicy sausage will work. And just make little slices. When you're looking at the sausage, the color sometimes looks really, really red. Do not panic. That does not indicate the spice level. It indicates a lot about how much paprika and the type of paprika that's put in there. Let's take that, put it off to the side. We're getting all our Mizanplas ready. Next we need some lobster. We've got some lobster meat. This has already been steamed. I've taken it out the shell. Just gonna break it down just a little bit more. So I've got all my mise en place together. I've got the chicken, the sausage, my lobster. Got my spices ready, saffron, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of white pepper. We have our pasta noodles. We have little ones. These are little macaronis. You can use bigger ones if you want. So we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna set up our pan and get ready to put all of this in that amazing olive oil and get the dish going. All right, we are back. This is an amazing Rachael Ray skillet. It works perfectly. That heavy cast iron bottom will actually help us with our heat distribution and make this dish like even more delicious. So this works extremely well if you don't have access to the Paella pan. All right, so let's go, let's do this. Olive oil, extra virgin, the best we could find. And you may see me come back in with more olive oil. So we're starting out, I'd say that's a good 2.5, 3 tablespoons. Just enough to coat our pan. We're gonna start with peppers and onions, but when we hit those proteins, especially get into the seafood, we wanna make sure we're not overcooking. So I'm gonna season my chicken with just a little bit of kosher salt. I'm gonna add a little bit of my garlic powder, onion powder blend that I made up. Gonna put that off to the side for just a second. We'll come back to it. We're gonna start with the peppers. Got peppers. I decided to julienne. But paella is a really colorful dish. And I think having the peppers julienne, just a little bit bigger in size is gonna help with that color. All right, now our peppers are softening. Onions are translucent. We're gonna start with our protein. First thing we're gonna do is stick our chicken in here. I'm gonna add a little bit of white pepper. A little paprika. All right, we've got chicken broth, I'm getting it ready, and white wine. So we're gonna build our sauce. So we've got a lot of good stuff down here from this chicken. And we want all that because all of that is flavor. So I'm gonna add my broth. And we're actually deglazing the pan a little bit. It means we're trying to scrape all of those little drippings, all that good stuff off that bottom. We want all of that. This is good stuff. So I'm gonna start with about 2 cups of broth. Dry white wine. Try not to drink it while you're cooking. Gonna add maybe 3/4 of a cup. We might come back and add a little bit more. That's the saffron trick. We're putting all of that in there. Saffron's one of those that I don't really get enough of it. I always want a little bit more, a little bit more. So we're gonna stop here right now. We might add more later. I'm gonna turn down my heat. Just put a little paprika, a little bit of salt. And the next thing I'm gonna add is going to be the clams, because the clams are gonna take longer than the rest of the seafood. Cut this down low. I'm gonna cover it with aluminum foil. And then I'm gonna give it about 10 minutes or so, maybe a little bit less, till I see them starting to open up just a little bit, and then I'll keep going. So while I'm doing that, let's take a break, and I'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, we are back. And you caught me with my mouth full because I was doing what? Tasting. But let's take a look, see if these have opened. Yeah, they're getting there. They're getting there. So let's keep going. I've got a couple that have opened. I'm not worried. I'm gonna save my foil. And just know, those that don't open, at the end, we're gonna get rid of those, because we do not want them in our dish. Next, let's do some chorizo. Chorizo's gonna get in there, give us even more flavor. See that little dance I did? A little bit more broth. Probably about another cup or so. More salt. Hit it with some more paprika. Hit it with lots of garlic powder, onion powder, or granulated, whichever one you have. Gonna hit this with some white pepper. Not too much. Goes a long way, little goes a long way. I just can't help myself. I just feel like we need a little more saffron. Now we're gonna stir in macaroni noodles. Just like Hamburger Helper. We wanna make sure they're getting in the broth. Don't let the little suckers get stuck in the clams unless the clam is under the broth. Want to stir them in real good. All right. So I'm gonna keep my eye on this, turn it down just a little bit. I'm gonna keep my eye on it. But understand that I know this dish can be intimidating when it's done with rice. The noodles are a lot more forgiving. Gonna cover it up, turn it down. Gonna let the noodles simmer. When we come back, we'll open it back up. We'll check our noodles. If we need more liquid, we'll just add a little bit more liquid. So we talk about how everything should have a great appearance. So I thought, what would be cool for this? And usually what I do, because it's just super simple and easy, one thing I've done in the past is if crawfish are in season, I get crawfish. Steam them real cool and cute, and then put them all over, and it looks like little crawfish crawling out. All right, today I got lobster. So I just bought a whole lobster. I got it already steamed, made it easy on myself. So I'm gonna get some hot water going. So we're gonna take a peek, see what we're looking like. All right, we'll taste one of the noodles, see where we're at. Actually, I can just feel it. So we're still under. We're gonna add just a little bit more broth. And I'm gonna put some mussels on top of this now. So I'm putting the mussels in now because they cook pretty quick. So I just usually put mussels in until, I feel like I've made this really pretty collage of color. I think I'm there. I don't want that dark color to overtake, but I want it to be a part of this. So let's put a little more salt. Up just a little bit, and we're gonna go back. Cover it again. We're gonna let this steam, again, just a few minutes. Remember, we're getting our noodles cooked through, and we're also waiting on our mussels to open up. Any mussels or clams that don't open, we're gonna discard. Let's take a look, see where we're at. We're getting there. I've got a few mussels opening. Let's move them around. This is such a pretty dish. So next, let's do calamari rings. Put a little salt on them. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cover this back up. Let's taste the noodle. Good in there, but we still got a little room to work, which is what we want, because we don't want our noodles to overcook. So we're down to just a few more ingredients. We all know the shrimp won't take long. So I think it's time for us to salt this water. A pre-steamed lobster. Make it easy on ourselves. This is a pretty baby too. And this is edible. So just know that we're hoping that our guests will just pull this baby out and pull it apart. Just leave that there for just a minute. Gonna open again. Things are happening. Look at this, things are happening. One of the hardest things with this dish is trying to determine what size your paella pan should be. We've got tail-on shrimp. Again, it's a preference. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put this lobster in here too. And while we're at it, let's put the peas on there too. A little bit more broth. So we're gonna cover this thing one more time and bring it home. Pull my lobster out. Remember, it's already cooked. Oh, yeah. Look at that. And we are looking good. Our shrimp's beautiful color. Calamari looks good. I got a little saffron left. I'm just gonna sprinkle just a few threads on top. Lemon. I'm just gonna put just a little lemon juice. Across, I have some lemon cut, so guests can add a little bit more if that's their fancy. Then we're gonna top it with this big mama. One of the best dishes that I've ever done.